Hey everyone, so today we're going to be talking about electric fields. Alright, so what exactly is considered an electric field, or how can they be defined? Let's give a little bit of context as to what we're going to be explaining today. As you may know, when two like charges are close by, so for example, if this were to be a positive and a positive, there we go, that means that these two would repel each other, right? That's something, oops. There we go. That's something that we already know. All right. Yeah, if these were opposites, so we have one positive and one negative, that means that they would attract each other, right? So this one would go this way and this one would go this way. Okay? So this was already figured out a long time ago, and we were even able to calculate the magnitude of how strong these either repelled or attracted each other. And that's, using the Coulomb's law that we saw in a previous video. Yet, why exactly was this happening? Does anyone have a guess? I mean, there's a completely empty space in between these two charges. So, how can one charge affect another without even touching it? Or how does one charge know that the other even exists without there being something in between? This was something that had many physicists confused, as there was basically nothing that could explain this reaction or attraction that two charges had on each other. That was until Michael Faraday came along. Being the amazing physicist that he is, he came up with the explanation that a charge is always exerting a field in all directions around itself. Okay, so for example, let's move this guy out of the way. So let's say with this electron, this negative charge, what Faraday was saying is that every charge has an electrical field. So let's say something like that in all directions. So even here in diagonal. And this is on a 2D plane, but in reality, there would be some coming towards you, some going away from the screen. All directions is basically what Faraday theorized. And that means that, as distance does affect the strength of things, he also theorized that the closer you were to the charge, the stronger the electrical field was. All right, so here we have a big charge, then here we have a smaller one, then a smaller one, and so on, so that the closer you get to the charge, that means the stronger the electric field is, and the farther away, the weaker it is. Now, the thing is, a lot of the times people get confused between electric fields and electric forces. Now, what exactly is an electric force? Now, an electric field is something that is projected by one charge, and an electric force is when one charge, for example, the electron here, exerts a force onto a second charge, which could be the proton here, and then that would mean that a force would be exerted upon the proton by the electric field of the electron. Okay? Now, this necessarily is something that you need to maintain very clear, because a lot of times people think that an electric field is the same as an electric force, when that is definitely not the case. Okay? Now, the formula for an electric field is, let me go ahead and move this a little bit. We're going to move this guy over here. Now, the formula for electric field is E, which is electric field. And it's represented as a vector due to the fact that it has a magnitude, which we can calculate with a different formula. And it also has a direction, which in this case is, it goes outward. The thing is, however, my mistake here, with a proton, the electric field goes outward. Okay, so that means that the direction of an electric field always goes from negative to positive. Okay, So that means that here in a proton, the electric field would be going outwards. And if it were the case that this is a electron, then that would mean that the electric field is going inwards. Okay, so that's also really important to remember. I'm gonna go ahead and write that down. Okay, so quick note, direction is from negative, okay, to positive. All right, that's just a really important thing that you do need to remember. Okay, so just so you don't get confused, I'm gonna change this into a proton so that that makes sense. All right. Now, going back to the formula, okay, so we have that E vector, which is once again the electric field, is equal, there we go, is equal to the electric force, okay, over the charge of Q2. Now you might be asking, what exactly is Q2? Okay, so we use the Q to define or to identify charges, okay? So this here we're gonna call Q1, and this here, for example, would be Q2. Okay, so let's just go ahead and make this a little bit smaller. I'm gonna put it right here. Okay. And now imagine that this is just a tiny little proton, okay? Let me go ahead and erase this. We don't need this anymore. Okay. And we're gonna symbol that this is Q. Oh, my bad. That this right here is Q2. Okay, there we go. All right, so now what this means is this is a way in which we can go ahead and use this formula. So Q2, imagine that it's a proton that's right on the electric field of Q1, okay? And we're trying to measure the electric field, okay? So we're given the, let's just say an imaginary information. Let's imagine that the force here, the electric force is 100 newtons, okay? And let's say that the charge of Q2 is, I don't know, let's say 4 coulombs, okay? So now what we can do with this is we can go ahead and get the electric field, okay? So now it's basically just a simple division, okay? We have 100 newtons divided by 4 coulombs, and well, we get 25 newtons over coulombs. And what's really interesting about this is that the units basically explain what the electric field is, okay? So there are 25 newtons being exerted per coulomb, okay? So it's just very important that we're able to completely understand this, okay? And this, once again, gives us the result of the electric field in this area where the hypothetical proton is located, okay? And just to verify as well that it's completely understood, it's very important to remember that the electric field, this is not the electric field of Q2, but of another charge, in this case, Q1, okay? So the electric field of Q1 is causing the electric force to be exerted onto Q2, okay? I'm just gonna repeat that one more time and write it down right about here. So in this case, the electric field, I'm gonna write that down just like that, is causing the electric force, the electric field of Q1 is causing the electric force to be exerted onto Q2. Okay, so I'm just gonna write that down just so that you guys don't get confused, okay? And the reason that this formula, the one that I wrote down right over here, is so important is because once the electric field at a certain point in space is known, like we know in this case, you can find the electric force, okay? And that's really useful in other topics that I'm not going to dive right in that deep into. But for example, in space, if you were to I don't know, be able to figure out the force of certain things at a distance, but you don't know what exactly is causing. Like, for example, if you weren't able to know what Q1 is, but you were able to find out the electric field at Q2, then you're able to make certain types of predictions and stuff like that about Q1. But I'm not really going to go ahead and get that much in depth of that topic, okay? So just once again, electric field is not the same as electric force. Electric field is how much force is exerted per charge, okay? So that's once again why we have the newtons over here as well as the coulombs over here. So I'm just going to write down it's kind of a little bit of a mess, but the formula right here is electric field is equal to electric force over Q2, okay? All right, guys, that's pretty much it for today's topic. Hope you liked it. And please like the video and subscribe to our channel to support us and help us grow. And leave a comment with any question or feedback you might have so it can help me make better videos.